is up, everybody? Fly Guys here with another tutorial. Today I'm going to be tying a flash tail. This is what we're going to be tying today. Great for bass and pike, anything that eats a perch, even maybe a little musky action in there. So that's what we're going to be tying today. So first step, I am using a 2-aught B10S Gamakatsu Stinger. I love these hooks, they're amazing. So you're going to take a small clump of yellow bucktail and you can trim the tails. Just I like to square them off a little bit. And you're going to lay it right down. I start usually at the tip of the hook for this one, so lay it right down, cinch it down. Do not let it roll on you. You want it to stay right on top. So go ahead, cinch it down, and that's great. Now you can, for the sake of this video, I'm not going to apply any super glue, but I would if this wasn't a video, because I don't want pike and muskie tearing this up with their teeth. So I would, every time there's like a large section, I would apply super glue. Alright, so you want it to lay flat, nice and flat. Next, I have made a little flash bundle, and this has just got some orange midge flash, some Krelex green flash, and then some Mirage Flashaboo. And so what I do is I line it up, find out where it's kind of even. You don't want all the tips to be even, you want them to be staggered. So tie it in on the left side. You want it to be longer than your tail by about an inch or two. Tie it in on the left side. I just do 2 kind of loose wraps. And then I take the end that's hanging out forward, pull it sort of back and to the right side. And then just lock it in on the right side. You don't want it on the underside. If it's on the underside, it'll get snagged on the hook. And then just lock that in. You can kind of move it around with your thumb. Kind of move it around with your thumb so that it's on the top half of the fly. And that's sort of what you should end up with, something like that. So lock it in. This is another part where I would use super glue. So move forward. You're going to grab some more yellow bucktail and do the same exact step. I like to square them off. It's okay if this one flares up a little bit, but you don't want it sticking straight up. You kind of want it at most right there, and I'll show you why in a second. So this one, you want it to be about the same length as the previous yellow bucktail. I'm going to come in and trim it up a little bit. This is going to hold our flash up, and it's going to start making a deeper body, a deeper profile. So wrap that in, get that nice and snug. Again, I would come in with, don't let it roll, make sure it's on top, but I would come in with super glue there and super glue it down. So I'm going to take another clump of flash, a little bit lighter, not as heavy as the back one, but I'm going to do the same thing, find the midpoint, tie the midpoint in on the left side, wrap the front portion, pull it back into the right, trapping it down on this right side, and then kind of use your thumb to move it around a little bit. There we go. Again. Alright, so now we're going to come to our, just right above it, wherever you feel most comfortable with. But right above it, and we're going to do a hollow tie. So I'm going to take again some yellow bucktail, and you want it to be about the length of your tail. You want it to be about the length of the yellow bucktail, your second one. You don't want it to be as long as your tail, so make sure it's not as long as your tail. So right about there is where I want it. So measure it up. I'm just going to cut the ends here. You don't want this to be super puffy. because you want it to maintain a sort of bait fish profile. Whew, boy, tough one. Not enough coffee this morning. So get your hollow tie in, make sure that it's evenly distributed. Let's not answer that right now. And sort of just work it back. I keep this little yellow bundle here. I'll trim any really long fibers that I miss, but I keep this little yellow bundle. I don't wrap it up because I kind of like the look of it. It keeps a sort of a bulky look to it. So let's see here. Let's see how I did. I do okay. Not too shabby. So once you're good and you think you're ready, we'll move forward. Alright, I'm just gonna make sure that it's evenly distributed, because if it's not, then your bait fish will swim funny. So if some parts are sticking out more than others, it will go in sort of in different directions. So make sure that you have even fibers on all sides. Take your time, it's not a big deal. You're in no rush. And you should be coming close to the eye of the hook now. The head portion that we're going to make doesn't require a whole lot of room, so don't be afraid if you're like, wow, I think I'm really close to the front. Do not worry. So build up a nice little cone here to lay down those fibers. How's that looking? Pretty good. How does that look for you guys? So there we go. I have a nice little shape, pretty even on the bottom, pretty even on the top. You see it's nice splaying out evenly on both sides, so that's good. And I like that. That looks pretty good. So again, sparse, you know, nothing crazy, just a pretty sparse hollow tie, just one. All that's going to do is give our head, when we tie in our head, it's going to give it some body. So then for the last bit of flash, I just take green Krelax, that's it. And again, I taper it on either end, and what I do is I wrap it around my thread, pull it up on top. When you pull it up on top, just on the first wrap, half of it will go one way and half of it will go the other. So all I do is I take the front half, pull it back, and then I just kind of wrap it. Oh boy. I just wrap it on either side, so it will hang over that that hollow tie. And I might have tied in a bit too much here, but you kind of want it sparser than that, but whatever. This will just be a flashy one. And then I just secure that one in. Boy, I must have oh, okay, there we go. In case you're wondering, I just found this out. I have, you see how my thread is fraying? I don't know if you can see that. I have a burr in my thread bobbin, so that's a good little tip. If your thread is fraying, you might have a burr in your thread bobbin. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Nice little body that's forming. Is that staying back enough? Yes, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the head. Again, I would cement this, and you know I'm going to, because this is kind of an important part. So I just drop a dab of super glue on the top and on the bottom, just like that. And just to secure it in. Alright, for the head, there's going to be a top side and a bottom side. For the bottom side, I'm going to continue with yellow, but I'm going to be using craft fur. And it's actually going to be more of a fluorescent yellow. Here, you see here. So the issue with craft fur is that towards the base, it gets very fluffy, so it will create a lot of space by the head, and it'll make it difficult to tie. So when you're tying it in, make sure you're not tying it in on the really fluffy stuff, but sort of work down towards the lighter, thinner material. So here, I'm just gonna line it up. Is this dry? Not really, but whatever. So I'm gonna line it up, and right about there is good. And this stuff is so great. Just cinch it in twice, and then all I do is sort of work it with my thumb to make sure that it's even on both sides. So you see there, it's about at the halfway point there. On the other side, it's also about the halfway point, so that's good. Do one more just for security, okay? And then the top half is going to be, again, craft fur, but it's going to be an olive. So just line it up with the bottom half, and that's about good. And then do the same exact thing, tie it in the same exact spot. And make sure that it's even on both sides, which it looks like it is. Alright, so that's good. Now, come in with some nice scissors and cut as close as you can. Try not to do it all at one time, because it usually doesn't end up looking very good. So I like to go kind of like at a half at a time if I can. And there you go. See, so you can cut it very close. So then I'll just wrap those up again. Okay, and then we're going to do one more. And I'm going to go right there. That looks like to be about enough room. And so just check it. Half and half looks good. Half and half looks good. Now, the bottom is going to be sort of a custom blend that I made. This is orange and red. What I've done is just taken a Sharpie to, you can see it's white there, to the white. So I'm going to tie it in right where I have a little red spot. It's kind of hard to see the difference between orange and red there, but I'm going to tie it in right on the red spot for the bottom. Okay, there we go. Why not just use orange craft fur and color it red? It just does not look the same. Alright, so that's pretty good. And then on top, I have mixed the olive with a little bit of black craft fur, just to give it a little more shading. If you look at a perch, because this is kind of imitating a perch, they have sort of this shading, this camo color near their head, so this is a good way to kind of get at that. So again, just sort of match it up, line it up, that looks about good. Catch it, pull it down, again flatten it out with your thumb. I'll do a few wraps backwards, but none forwards. Alright, how's that looking? You see the hollow fly has made this sort of nice fish body that the craft fur can follow. Alright, so I'm going to come in and just sort of nip away. And don't worry too much. If you have some fluff in the eye, like I've gone a little, maybe a little further than I wanted to with the craft fur, but again, it's not a big deal. Because we're going to cover it up, basically. So I'm just coming in, just cutting any of the excess fibers that I can, and I'm just going to lock them in. And that looks pretty darn decent. Now you could have put a lateral line in here too, something like a lateral line flash or something. I don't for this one, but you definitely can do that. Okay, so there we go. Looks great. Plenty of room for anything to slide through the eye. Awesome shape it's taking. And so we can whip finish. That's it. That is going to be the last for this portion. Now, I'm going to do two just in case. Sweet. Now, I'm going to put some eyes on because there's two more steps to do. Here I just have some 8mm tab eyes. And I know what you're thinking. Well, hey, if they're tab eyes, why aren't you tying the tab in? And that is such a good question, because I love the way, and this is why I didn't do the lateral line, all I'm doing is dropping a dot of super glue just to get it stuck. I love the way that it looks when the tab points backwards. See how that looks? It gives it like a nice shiny cheek. I think that's super cool. And I've been doing it more and more because I really love the way it looks. So it kind of defeats the purpose of the tab, I guess, but I think that it looks super cool. Okay, so I'll bring in the super glue if I can, just to reinforce any areas, you know, and I say super glue. You could use Zap-A-Gap too, that's what everyone uses. It's basically super glue. So once you have this, now there's large gaps there. All I do is come in with some Solarez and fill it in. So I'm just gonna speed that up so you guys don't need to watch it, because all I do is just dab some UV resin in there to fill the gap. So I'm gonna speed this up for you guys. Okay, so the last step that I do is I come in here with this this Prismacolor marker here. This is just black. It has a fat side, and all I do is I just hold it down like this, and I'll do a solid line on top, and then just like a little tick down. Just a little tick down to start. And then once I get past the tab, I'll start going down a little deeper. And I just kind of do that all the way back. It's hard. Don't spend too much time on this worrying about what it's going to look like, because it's hard to mess it up. Because once it all flays open, it looks pretty good even if you didn't do a great job. So there, you see on top, it's just got sort of this nice little pattern and a little bit of a stripe. And I clipped a little bit of the tab there. I didn't really want that, but whatever. So once you open it up, it will have this, just give it a little more texture. And you see here, like, I didn't spend any time on that, and it looks pretty decent. So here's our fly. If you want, you can brush it out a little bit. Sometimes I'll just take a little brush and kind of just brush it out just to make sure that everything is laying straight. But for the most part, this fly doesn't get tangled all that much as far as the fibers are concerned. So here we go. Here's our fly. I'll just take it out of the vise so you guys can see the full product. Pretty quick and simple. If your flash, if you think it's too long, you can always take the scissors to it. Like, I'll cut, see how long these fibers are here? I'll just pull them out or take the scissors to it. But here's our fly, a great musky pike bass pattern, good perch pattern. So tell me what you think. Leave a comment below. If you want to check out more fishy business, hit us up on Instagram. And thanks for watching.